Hello everyone and welcome to Word on the Street. All right, word on the street is that people are interested in how to make their work environments trans inclusive. I've got some ideas for you. Let's get to it. All right, everyone. So we know that there's been a lot of transphobic legislation that's been moving across the states to basically oppress the trans community. I want to just take a beat and talk about the fact that just because these policies are being put forward, it doesn't mean that the workplace can't continue to be a safe space for people who are trans, okay? You should actually make it your job to make your work environment as trans inclusive as humanly possible. But what I'm seeing happen in certain environments, less so in the West Coast, more so with our friends that are in the South and sometimes in the Midwest, I'm seeing more and more companies basically saying, well, since this legislation is going forward, we don't have to protect and create a safe space for our trans communities. We can be as transphobic as humanly possible, and that's totally righteous. Well, it's not. I want to share with you the top 4 things I think that you should do in order to establish a more trans welcoming, trans friendly environment. Okay, so number 1, make your environment one where a person can go through their transition on their journey, going from one gender identity to a different gender identity, and it's okay to do so. Meaning you are creating the space for pronouns to be present. When a person changes their name from Cyrilda to, let's say, Simon or Simone or something of that nature, they can have resources inside your environment to be able to do that safely without a lot of questions being asked. Make it as simple as humanly possible. This is something that isn't legislated by the feds or the state. You can just create that inside your human resources department right now. Number 2, stay up to date on new legislation that is transphobic, right? The trans legislation that's moving through your state legislature. Make sure you're paying attention and then check in with the employees who identify as transgender in your ecosystem to ask them if they need some support in understanding these new policies or resources to just kind of like process the information or to feel safe inside the workplace. But check in. Do your work to be aware of what's happening in government, and do your work to check in with your people. That goes incredibly far. Number 3, shut down harmful conversations. Okay, here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that everybody in your ecosystem has to have the same values and the same views. I am saying that when those values and views are communicated in the workplace and it is harmful to other human beings based on their identity, based on the skin that they're in, your job is to interrupt these things from happening. So if you see people in the workplace and they're saying that, people who identify as trans or who go through the transgender process are crazy or are name the negative thing to say about a human being, you check it. You let people know, give them some grace at first to say like, hey, I know that there may be common conversation or it may be happening in the press. People are having these conversations around us, but in this workplace, we're not having that conversation because it makes members of the community feel unsafe. It makes members of the community feel like this is not an inviting space. And in our workplace, we're inviting everyone to be able to come here and work in peace. So strike 1, strike 2, strike 3, you're out. Don't be afraid to hold people accountable for being rude in your workplace, especially when you have been proactive in your communication about what the expectations are in the workplace. So if I tell you that this is not welcome and you keep doing it, then this is complete and absolute insubordination. You are actually creating a hostile work environment for my employees, and I take that seriously, right? That last piece is critically important. Having the conversation is not enough. The accountability piece, when you have had the conversation on multiple occasions, that is what is missing oftentimes. And then number 4, do the education. The work doesn't start or stop with education, but education helps to eradicate ignorance. Quite frankly, a lot of people are saying these ignorant things about people who are different from themselves, whether it's along racial or gender or sexual identity or expression lanes, because they don't understand members of that community. And don't make it the responsibility of representatives from those communities to educate the entire workforce. You educate your workforce. You do what you need to do to make your environment an inclusive environment. So word on the street is that folks are trying to create a trans inclusive environment, and I applaud that. These are just 4 of the steps you can do to help to continue to fuel a trans inclusive environment. Let me know if you have any questions. You can DM me or jump in the chat. Talk to you soon.